So, hello everybody. I'm your Vice President Shaun, if you don't know already. And today we're going to be going over how to win AIX data. So this is going to be the last workshop in our 5-day workshop series, the Road to AI Data. Um, and basically, this whole one is basically just the final preparation of what you guys should expect during the Datathon, as well as some important details about judging and whatnot that sh it would be helpful to know going into it, so you guys don't have so many questions. So I would say this is an important workshop to show up to. So I'm glad you guys are here. And at the end of this workshop, we're also gonna have a Q&A. So just save your questions till the end, and then I will make sure to answer them. But if you get any questions while we're going on, just like write them down somewhere. Just try to save them to the end, because I'm gonna try to just get by the main presentation pretty quickly. But anyways, I think without further ado, we can get started. Let me just go like this. Okay, all right, let's go. So how to win AIX data. Okay, so for our first slide, we're just gonna go step by step on how to win. Okay, so step one, show up on time. You don't want to be like this guy, that I have pulled up here. Uh, I think I said in our announcement, or maybe somewhere in the welcome and rules that everyone should have read if you joined the Datathon Discord. But our check-in starts at 8 a.m. and it ends at 8:30 a.m. So please try to show up in that time period. Um, we will be taking people in, however, and I wouldn't abuse this, but until around 9:30 a.m. to 10, and then if you come later than that, we're just gonna be like, sorry, we're closed. You should have come earlier. Um, but we really want you to guys to be in there by 8:30 because uh once it hits 8:30, we're gonna start the group formation phase, and that at 9 a.m. we're gonna start talking about Datathon details that you guys need to know, and then by 9:30 we're gonna open up the data sets so you guys like see what's going on and are able to read the stuff, and at 10 the competition starts, and then we're gonna send you guys all invites, competition invites. So there's gonna be a lot of stuff happening right after 8:30. So really show up on time and make sure you don't miss anything. Um, Second step, find a group. I think we've made it kind of clear already in the Discord how important it is to find a group. But not only, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit more later too, but not only do you have people with you to help you and like you have each other while you're working through this, um, but also it makes it a lot easier for us. Because if there's a bunch of people going into this solo, it's gonna make the whole judging situation hard, and it's actually gonna hurt you guys. So just find a group. This is the perfect opportunity to actually go out, work as a team. Because like you could just do this on your own. You could do this from home, but like there's only so many times where you actually get to work on projects like this as a team in person and like the short time frame. So really try to take advantage of that, especially all the passionate people that signed up for our Datathon. There's gonna be a lot of people out there that I'm sure everyone's gonna get along with. So please find a group. Okay, so step three on how to win AIX data is have a plan. All right. And so when you're going into it, like after the group formation phase, around that time, I would start talking to your group about what your strengths are, what you kind of want to focus on going into the datathon. Maybe you really want to do a lot of nice visualizations. Maybe you're really into like the modeling part and you're going to try to figure out which models are most popular and how to fine tune those models. Maybe you're really into data cleaning and everybody's probably going to have to do some data cleaning. But maybe you really want to work on that part. So just have a plan. You don't have to like segment off your group members into like different tasks like that. It's probably best if everyone works on a little bit of everything. Um, but have a plan. Talk about what your group with your group what the plan is, and also have an idea of which pillar you want to do. Just beforehand, it's pretty good, but like I guess the real time to really pick is once we release the data sets and the pillar data sets, and you guys see which pillar is most interesting to you and which data set is most interesting to you. But just have an idea. You don't want to spend like the first hour of the 10-hour time period figuring out which one you want to pick. Um, and then I would honestly say also, if you have like a pillar in mind, if you know you want to do unsupervised or supervised learning, search up some supervised competitions on Kaggle, and see. look at some high-rated notebooks and see their thought process and how they go through things to kind of give you like a frame of reference, especially if this is your first time, like doing like a datathon or a data science project. And I know it is for a lot of people. Then this is a great way to like give you an idea of what the end product will look like. So yeah. And finally, set up your environment before. I would recommend Kaggle just because it makes things a lot more easier when you're finally uploading your final model. But Google Colab, Jupyter Notebook, even like if you want to just use the Jupyter Notebook extension on Visual Studio, just set that up beforehand because again, we have 10 hours to code everything. So figuring that out in the first 30 minutes is actually a big loss of time there. So just try to do that beforehand. Okay? And so now that was this planning stuff was supposed to be when before all the data sets have been released. Now that they're released, um, and like this is when you start like actually coding, this is what you should do, okay? So during the Datathon, read and understand the overview of the competition. Once we give you guys the data sets, there's going to be an overview section, and it's going to explain to you in pretty well detail what the data set's going to be on, as well as what your goal is and how what the submission type is, and all stuff like that. It's really important to understand that stuff because you don't want to be working on something for like 5 hours and then halfway through realize that, oh wait, we're not even like coding the right thing. Like I just been wasted all this time. So I would take a good portion just trying to understand what the goal of everything is. Secondly, the first thing you're going to want to do obviously is explore your data, take notes on anything that stands out, um, and then clean and pre-process your data. And you guys should be kind of familiar with this if you've attended previous workshops, or if this is new to you. This is definitely very, very important. But when you're cleaning and pre-processing your data, be clear about why you are doing what you're doing. You can't just randomly get rid of stuff or like add new features and then like have nothing to show for it or any explanation if you get asked. So definitely be clear and while you're coding, like maybe even put some comments in your code while you're doing it. Try multiple models. This is a big one. Um, we really don't want you guys, and like this is like not only just for this datathon, but in data science in general, or like when you're like doing projects based around any data set, just picking one machine learning model just because even if you're really confident that this is the best approach, you can't be 100% sure. So try multiple models. Make sure to give yourself time to try multiple, evaluate multiple models, see which one is the best. Um, and yeah, like I said here, no one is gonna get the perfect model on their first try. That never happens. So try multiple models, be ready to do that. And finally, make sure to visualize, or not finally, but make sure to visualize and take notes with your markdown as you go. So if you guys aren't really familiar with the Jupyter notebooks and stuff like that, you could basically either do a code or a markdown cell. And I would make sure in the markdown cells, kind of like make it clear which like cells are like with which or what you're doing. For example, if like the first like 5 cells are exploring your data, put a markdown at the top saying exploring your data. And then after that, put a markdown saying this is cleaning and pre-processing data. And if you could be as detailed as possible, that would be amazing. But yeah, definitely do that. And finally, pace yourself. 10 hours might seem like a lot, but I promise you it's not, okay? Um, I mean, it's enough time to get something going, but trust me, once you guys start really getting into the groove of it, it's gonna go by so quickly. So really, like, don't if you're really stuck on like, oh, I don't know if I should get rid of this feature or keep it, and like you're doing research on like, oh, like maybe like I don't know, like if you don't spend too much time on one thing is basically what I'm trying to say. So pace yourself. 10 hours is a lot, but it's not. Um, to give you a little fun statistic, and hopefully this doesn't make you guys mad, but most datathons last months. Most datathons last like at least 2 weeks. It's rare that a datathon is gonna be in a 1 day time period, let alone a 10-hour time period. Um, and so you're really gonna have to pace yourself, especially if this is your first time. 10 hours is enough. I'm not gonna say it's impossible. And you guys are gonna come out with good products by the end. But that time is gonna go by quick is all I'm gonna say. So yeah, be ready for that. Is there anything else I want to say about that? Um, yeah, I think that's it. Okay. So now for step 5, after you've made your model, I mean, you've cleaned your data, you made your model, you evaluated your model, and you have a model that you're comfortable with and you like the most. It's going to be up to submitting now. Um, and for this part, if it's your first time using Kaggle and you've never submitted to a Kaggle competition before, I would definitely start this early, because if it's your first time doing data science stuff, it might be kind of confusing how it works. And I'm going to show you actually at the end what a submission looks like, to hopefully help you guys. But yeah, if make sure to start your submission early. If you don't submit by 8 p.m., your team is disqualified. So you don't want to work all that time just to be disqualified at the very end. So please, please, please submit early. Um, and if it's your first ever time using Kaggle, definitely start early. And we're gonna have, officers and mentors and volunteers walking around helping you guys. Um, so if you guys have any other question or any questions about it, definitely let us know while we're walking around, and we will help you. Because submitting is very, very important, obviously. Um, and after you submit, it's time to prepare for judging. So th this previous part kind of went over like this section, this during the Datathon section went over like 8 hours. Now it's gonna start getting pretty hectic for like about 30 minutes or like technically the next hour. But after you submit, you have to prepare for judging, and you should be doing this while um sorry, excuse me. You should actually be doing this while you're submitting and while you're actually like making your model or finalizing your model. I wouldn't do it during your model because it doesn't really make sense. But I would start preparing for what you're going to show the judges. Um, because if you guys didn't know, depending on which pillar you did, and this is some really important information, judging is going to be 50% to 100% of how we grade what you guys did. So judging is really important, especially if you want to win some of the prizes that we have. Um, so you really should prepare for judging. Like if you worked hard on a model and your model is amazing, but then you have really nothing to show for, and like you can't really, you know, show your visualizations and stuff like that. And I'm gonna get more into like what to show for judging and whatnot and what to do in a second. But I just want to warn you guys now, judging is between 50% and 100% of your score, so it's really important. If you can make a PowerPoint at the very least, you could use other visualize or data visualization tools like Tableau, or like you could do like something on Canva, or like even um I wouldn't record a video. I would say PowerPoint is like the safest way to go. I think judge or like presenting your straight up notebook is going to be kind of hard and not really aesthetic for the judges, because basically imagine like while you're talking about your code, you're like scrolling up the notebook over a bunch of code that you've written, and that's not what the presentation's about. It's about your outcomes. So I would definitely try to make a PowerPoint if you can. Um, and make sure to do your PowerPoint with your important visualizations and your areas of focus. Don't just put like code on it and code snippets and be like, this is how I coded the model. This is how I cleaned the model. Like that's not what the judges are there to do. They're there to see what you're actually able to come out with the code. So keep that in mind. And then also part of the presentation, have everyone in your group participate. It'll be pretty obvious if one person did all the work and that's the only person that knows what they're talking about. So make sure everybody is caught up. We don't want just like one person just getting or doing everything for everybody. And yeah, so I guess that's it I had for prepare for judging. And this next part is actually going to be judging. I'm going to talk about that. This is like the most important part, I would say. But remember, keep track of this. So, judging time, step 6. So now that you've prepared for judging, you've submitted, you've prepared for judging. Now, basically how we're gonna do it, and I'm not gonna confirm anything right now because some of this stuff we have to figure out the day of, depending on how many teams we have that actually show up and how big the groups are. Um, but basically, we expect every group to get judged around 3 times. Um, and so we're gonna have judges walking around, and basically they're gonna come up to your table, and then you present to them, and then they're going to ask you questions at the very end about, your model or the data set or stuff like that. But this is judging time. So assume, let me drink some water here actually before I get into this. I have something in my throat. But again, if you joined late, and if you have any questions, just keep them till the very end. We'll do a Q&A at the end. Sorry. So assume that you will have 5 minutes to present your outcomes. I say assume because this is the minimum amount of time um that we're gonna guaranteed give you guys. Hopefully you guys get more than 5 minutes. Hopefully it's like 10 minutes. And this is where the grouping part is really important. And I don't know if did I put it here? No, I didn't. So this is where the grouping part is really important actually because this is all this how many t or how much time you're given to present is all based on how many groups there are. So if there's like let's say like 10 groups in total. There's a bunch of groups of four and like some groups of three, maybe a group of two. Then you guys will have like 10 minutes to present and like you could really take your time and like even like pace yourself, explain things more clearly, which is what you want to do, trust me, because this is half of your data or Datathon project grade at least. For some pillars it's going to be the whole thing. So you want to have as much time as possible. That's why we're really trying to tell people to group up because if everybody is like going solo, um, then basically we have to try to judge all the solo people as well as the groups up to 3 times, which means we're gonna have to cut how much time we give for judging or for presentations for each group to try to get as many people judged as possible. So. That's why I'm saying grouping is really important. Like if you don't join a group, not only are you hurting yourself and everybody around you, by or hurting yourself by like, not having peers to talk with, but you're also hurting everyone around you and yourself when it comes to judging. So please, please, please join a group. Um, but anyways, uh, so the whole point of this judging or your presentation should be to create a narrative, okay? Your presentation should flow like a timeline. We don't want you guys to be like, okay, so we use a linear regression model. Our mean squared error was like 89,000 on the like the test set, and then here's a graph of what that looks like, and that's your presentation. That'd be horrible. Don't do that. It should flow like a timeline of what you did, and I'm gonna get into it right now. But first thing you should do, I would recommend, is to explain the thought process once you read the problem description. So, first thing you should do is be like, okay, so we looked at like the problem description, and so this is what we were thinking, and then start talking about your plan of attack. So like once we read that, we thought, okay, first thing we need to do is definitely consider these like portions of the data set higher than the other ones. Explain stuff like that. Like as you're like talk about it as it was happening and then talk about how each step turned into insight or gave you closure. So instead of just being like, and then we dropped like these rows, and then we checked for duplicates, and then there are these duplicates. Instead of doing that, be like, okay, so as we were checking for duplicates, we realized that there was like a lot of duplicated rows in this section. Or for this feature, and so we were like, okay, maybe we could drop that feature since a lot of the stuff she seems to be like the same anyways. And talk it out like that. And it shouldn't just be like, okay, we did this, did that, did this. You should talk about why you did it and how that like basically helped you understand the data set better. And then explain your different approaches to modeling and evaluating models. You don't want to just be like, okay, so we tried linear regression, SVM, XGBoost as our models, and this one was the highest accuracy. Be like, okay, we did linear regression, and we kind of use this as a baseline because it's like the most simple type of model. And then we realized that it came out with this, and then we tried SVM, and it came out with this, and we know SVM is good at, for with these features specifically because it interprets data in higher dimensions better, so on and so forth. Make sure you explain why you pick the models and then your evaluations
Come
of the
on, I was gonna caption this.
um.
Jeez.
Oh, wait, give me a second. Sorry. Um, but basically explain and also let me close this. Where'd it go? Okay, sorry. I got kind of lost there. Anyways, explain like also when you're evaluating the models, don't just be like, okay, so this is our what is that thing called? The four when you're doing a classification, the true positive, true negative, that table. You guys know what I'm talking about. You should. But anyways, don't just be like, oh, these are true positives, these are true negatives. This was our accuracy score, this was this. Be like, okay, so this was our like recall and like in context of the data set, what that means is like this and this. I mean, I don't have a data set to go off of, so I can't give you guys a real example, but basically explain what your evaluation means. Don't just throw out the metrics at the judges. Um, so yeah. And then finally, wrap up and explain where you could improve on if you were given more time. Your model is not going to be perfect. It might be close to perfect, hopefully, but it's probably not. And so, there's always ways to improve your model, and I feel like this is one of the most important parts because this will really show how much you guys understand what you did. It's not just gonna be like, okay, and this is our product, and we're done. It was like 89% accuracy, and we're happy with that. It should be like, okay, it was 89% accuracy, and things in the future that we can improve on. It's like trying to get a higher recall score because with this specific data set, that's really important. And maybe some ways we could approach that in the future would be trying out these different models that we didn't have time to try out this time. Stuff like that. Or like maybe go back and clean the data a little bit better. I feel like we might have skipped some steps when we were cleaning the data. Um, Say stuff like that. Talk it out loud to them about what your thought process was and where you can improve. And this will really show the judges and get you guys a high score on how much you understand what you actually did. Because anybody could just like throw the data set features into ChatGPT and make ChatGPT like like code all this stuff for them. But it's going to be a lot harder when it actually comes to judging. Um, and by the way, you guys are open to use ChatGPT when helping you code and stuff for sure. We're not against that. It's just that at the end of the day, we really want you guys to have an understanding of what you did. And that's the most important part. But anyways. So that's kind of like the whole idea of creating a narrative when you're presenting. And I would definitely do that. Don't just be like, this is my model, and that's it. But at the same time, don't be too specific. And I think I have an example here. I said a bad example. Oh, I ran into this error, so I had to search it up. Oh, and then I found out it was something to do with pandas, so I changed the code and blah 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 blah. So it's like it shouldn't be like that. Like like you want to explain what you did and how it led you into doing other stuff, but like if you're gonna talk about how there you were stuck on an error for like an hour, that stuff is not really relevant. So just like keep it in context of like you're presenting to people about your outcomes, not like the process. If that makes sense, even though you will be talking about your process, but you guys know what I'm saying. Don't be too specific. There's no need to like talk about the code that you did. Um, and also remember that everything is in context of the data, and I think I've been pretty clear about this, but make sure that's clear. So again, don't just be like linear regression model 83%. To say that what that means, so like we were able to like get like house prices or linear regression 83% doesn't really go together, but like house prices on a mean absolute error score of like 1,000, which means it was like 1,000 we were within 1,000 every time we guessed the house price, or $1,000. So like say stuff like that. Keep it in context of the data set, because that's what everything is. So yeah. And then be ready to answer more questions. The judges, if they have time, and they should have time, will ask probably just like one or two questions, if that. Listen, we're not gonna like drill you guys on like, okay, so what's this? What's that? Why'd you do this? It'll just be like one or two questions, but just be ready to like answer some. I just want to put that in there so it doesn't come like a surprise day of. All right. And so finally, the most important step is have fun and learn. So there's no expectation that you guys are going to be like professionals when you're doing this. And we're all here to just like learn something new, learn more about like data science, about the data sets. Maybe we're going to find some cool stuff like the data set that we'll uncover that we didn't really know before. And so just be ready to learn and be ready to have fun. Don't get too stressed out. At the end of the day, as long as you made something, even if it's not good, as like you were there and you made something with the group. And like now like it's like the stepping stones, like the early stepping stones that you need to actually like make a career out of this one day or figure out if you really like this. So don't stress yourself out about it too much. I know it's a competition. But like we're all here to just learn, and that's like really should be the biggest motive. So yeah. All right, so that was everything on how to win AI data. Just really quickly, and I know I did a lot of animations here, so we can't really go do this fast, but I'm gonna try to go fast. So first step, really quickly, is show up on time. Show up on time. if you're late, we might not take you depending on how late you are, and you're also gonna miss a lot of the important stuff at the or at the start, like telling you guys what the data set's about. So please, please, please show up on time. It starts at 8 a.m. Again, if you could come earlier, that'd be amazing. But we will open the doors up at 8 a.m. But we will be there already. Most officers are gonna be there 7 a.m. So we'll be there. If you could come early, that'd be amazing. It's early in the morning, sadly too, and I know everybody likes to stay up late. So like set like 5 alarms if you have to. But anyways, find a group. Very important. We talked about how important this was. If you don't, you're hurting yourself and all the other competitors. So please find a group. The bigger the group, the better, I should say. And then finally, have a plan when you're going into it, like some type of plan of attack, what you want to do. Set up your environment, make sure that you're ready. And then, make your model, be clear. Um, Take notes on what steps you're doing with Markdown or comments so that when you go back and have this presentation, you could actually look back at what you did earlier and be like, okay, yeah, I remember why I did that now, instead of having to guess like 8 hours later why you did that. Um, Submission, this is very important. You'll be disqualified if you don't submit on time. So please make this a priority. And we're gonna make it obvious. I think we're gonna start telling you guys about it an hour ahead of time. And please start then. I think we could even do multiple submissions. So everyone should at least have one submission in by 7:30 and there's no excuse for it. Just to make sure that you didn't do all of this for nothing. So very important. And then obviously prepare for judging. Make a PowerPoint if you can. The more detailed of a PowerPoint, the better. But remember you have a time period, so you can't really make like a 20 slide PowerPoint or anything. But yeah. Judging time, I just went over this, but basically main point, create a narrative. Don't just like explain like the model and like some stuff you learned. Like talk about it in a timeline that makes sense and the judges could show, and then also wrap it up and say where you can improve. Um, so yeah, and then of course have fun and learn. Okay, so that's it about how to win AI data. Hopefully you guys are all winners tomorrow. But yeah, just try your best and we'll see. But now I'm going to talk about a little bit about some pillar information. I can't give you guys all the pillar information, obviously, because we're going to talk about that tomorrow when we release them. But here's some important things when it comes to scoring that I want to share with you guys now. So for supervised, for those who are interested in the supervised category, half of what you're doing is going to be based off model accuracy, and the metric that we score that with will be posted on the actual data set or the Kaggle competition page on the overview page. So you'll know that, and then half of it's going to be on judging. So yeah, and then prizes are going to be announced tomorrow. I was thinking of announcing them today, but I think it's best to leave a surprise for tomorrow, so we'll just do that. And then unsupervised, and I know a lot of people are interested in this one, and I am excited about that, but it's gonna be kind of tough because 100% of it is on judging. So you make a model amazing, but if you like collapse in front of the judge, then like you won't be in the running anymore. And this is only because if you think about how unsupervised models work, and if you were there on my workshop, this will make sense. But um, we're just gonna give you guys a data set, and then it's up to you to find out those relationships in the data set. And so it doesn't really make sense for there to be an accuracy score. That would be more supervised learning. So it's going to be all judging. And I say 100% judging, but part of this is also what your notebook looks like. And a lot of it is going to be like how well you're able to show that your model is like a good model, basically. So kind of there's a technical portion to it. It's not just like who could talk the best. But yeah, again, prizes are going to be announced tomorrow. And I don't think we announced the prizes yet. So hopefully, if we did, I might be doing this for no reason. But we're going to announce them tomorrow. And then um, vision models for that pillar. Again, it's going to be really similar to supervised. Half of it is going to be model accuracy, and half of it's going to be judging. And again, the metric that we measure the accuracy by is going to be on the competition page. And we could also, if you have questions day of, make it more clear. And then half of it's going to be on judging and your thought process and whatnot. So it's very similar, same thing as supervised. And a prize is announced tomorrow, and a secret fourth prize in category. So I don't know, I don't think this was on the website, and I think we might have talked about it before, in like a GBM or something. But we are gonna have a fourth prize in category, And this one is going to be the best visualization slash notebook slash presentation. And this isn't like the best like presentation in front of the judges, by the way. It's a different presentation. This is what we mean like your actual notebook, how well you labeled the stuff with Markdown and you took notes on it, how much visualization you used. And then like if you did like a Tableau or like some other data visualization thing and you put it on there, that's gonna boost up your points for the for this category. But this isn't based on judging. It's based on just like how well you were able to make your notebook look like basically slash it should well it's to give me a notebook slash dashboard if people make dashboards. I don't think a lot of people will though. But basically how well you made your notebook look. Um and how well people are able to follow along. Because I know tomorrow already, people's notebooks are just going to be code, 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 and then maybe some visualization, but it's going to be a lot of just coding because people just want to get straight to the modeling part. But we want to make sure that people actually try to make their stuff look good because at the end of the day, if you're going to be using this project to show to somebody, this is actually the most important part because if you're going to be presenting this to someone like, for example, a recruiter or like have this on your resume and then want to show to like somebody on the team that you're trying to get hired by, they're not going to know what you did at all. And so having a really neat notebook and really nice visualizations is going to show them wow, like wow, this person knows what they're talking about. So we kind of wanted to just make that as a fourth extra prize category for you guys. Okay. And again, the prizes for that's going to be announced tomorrow. All right. And so now it's demo time. So I'm just going to show you guys a little bit about Kaggle submissions and what a competition looks like, because I know people are going to be lost the day of. It's going to be like there's a good amount of people here already that's going to see this, but I already know tomorrow we're going to get a bunch of questions on like how this stuff works. So I just want to show a lot of it right now. So if you just go onto Kaggle really quickly, and you can follow along if you'd like, or you could just watch. Um, they have a competitions page, and the one I actually want to show you guys right now is one of the getting started competition that Kaggle has, and then the house prices for competition, and basically you have to make a model to predict the house prices. But there's going to be these different pages, and also when you click this, this won't be submit prediction. If you haven't done this already, this will be join the competition, and then it'll look like this. But once you join the competition that we send you guys, it'll look something similar to this. And so we're gonna have this overview. Um, and then this is like a description, more kind of like why this like Kaggle is hosting this. But this is the most important part is the evaluation section. So this is where you're gonna see what the goal is for like whatever based on the data set that we give you, what we want you guys to try to figure out. Um, and then the metric that's gonna be used for grading is also an important thing. And finally, the submission file format. And I'm going to explain this in a second. All right, I can explain it right now. So basically, for everything except for unsupervised and unsupervised, we're gonna do something special, which we'll tell you guys this day of. But for supervised and vision, we're gonna have you guys basically submit a CSV of the predictions as well as the ID of the row. And so basically, it'll just if this makes sense, it'll just be like your model is going to predict obviously given the test data some outputs. So we want you guys to output that into a row of columns or a row of columns, a column of like whatever that prediction category is, and then the IDs that are associated with the IDs in the test set. And then you're going to submit that as a CSV, and that's basically how your accuracy is going to be graded. Um, and I'm going to show you that in a little bit more detail um, in a second. But yeah. And then there's some FAQ here. I think what we might have a little FAQ on ours, but I think that's basically it. I would just say the most important part of this overview page is the evaluation. And then data, I would say this is really the most important thing. Well, no, the data is second most important. Evaluation, you need to know what the goal is. But this is where we're gonna describe the data set that you're given. And then at the very bottom of the data set, you're gonna be able to download the different CSVs. This one has a lot, but for the competition that we guys like. The competition that we give you guys tomorrow, you should expect just a training CSV, a test CSV, and If you're like the vision, a zipped folder of like images, for example. So I explained that there's a lot going on right here, but you'll be able to download it there. And then Kaggle also has like a nice way of visualizing this stuff. For example, if I hit like training CSV, it'll kind of give you like a short description of the rows. And yeah. Anyways, so you can download your data set here, and we're also gonna have some description of all of the features of our data sets on the this data column. And code, so this is where we're going to be able to see your notebooks. So this is why I said do it on Kaggle, because the way to get it onto Kaggle or onto the competition site is pretty easy. You just like click the notebook. Once you hit submit prediction, and you just do a notebook that you have. But if you go from an external site, like say you're using Google Colab or Jupyter Notebook, it's not that hard. All you have to do is download your IPYNB file and then put it on Kaggle and then submit your prediction. I think they might even, do they have like an upload file? No, they don't. So you have to put it onto Kaggle first before you're able to submit your notebook. But this is very important too. This will be important for when I think I don't know if you can get away without uploading your notebook. So this is very important. Um, and then also another thing with the submit screen is the file upload for the CSV that I was talking about with all of your outputs. That's gonna get dropped in here. And then that's basically how you can submit it. Um, and so we'll be able to see all your notebooks, kind of similar to what we have here on Kaggle. And so that's about it. There's some other pages, like there's a leaderboard, a live leaderboard that'll probably will probably show as people start submitting stuff. Um, I don't know if we're gonna have a discussion, and then we're gonna have rules, but the rules are pretty self-explanatory. So you don't have to worry about that too much. And then models, this is I don't think we're gonna even have this portion to ours, so don't even worry about that. But anyways, okay, so that should give you an idea of what like the competition page will look like for whichever competition you sign up for. And now I wanted to show you what a notebook looks like. And I could probably find it on here. Um, if I tried. If I just go to most votes, this one is a high voted one. Yeah, this one right here. We're gonna go over this as a really good example of what your notebook should look like. This one I think is kind of built more as it's a tutorial. So like his introduction, yeah. I will take you through a step-by-step approach on a house price regression problem. And then he goes by like step by step. You don't have to do all of that. Basically, we want you guys to start like around here. A table of contents would be beautiful. Um, but he starts with understanding the data, and then as you can see, he's really, really detailed. These are outputs, but in the markdowns between each code, he explains what the outputs are and why he ran that. He has a univariate analysis here, where it's just evaluating all the singular numerical features. Um, then he does like a box plot here, and he has a lot of explanations. So this is like a really, really good and detailed one. We don't expect your guys to look this nice. I mean, it would be amazing, and you'd probably definitely win the prize, the fourth prize category, if it looked this nice. But this will give you like a really good example of, what to try to strive for. Be really detailed, show a lot of visualization, show a lot of code outputs, that actually mean something. Don't just like show everything. Some of the stuff is really irrelevant. Um, but again, like look, he's making these visualizations, and then he's explaining basically what it means and what we're doing with it. So everything should kind of have like a purpose. Um, and again, we're going all the way down here, and I'll go down to the modeling. But again, as you can see, very detailed. And this is what to strive for. For modeling, he tries multiple models, and he like segments them off differently. Um, and then here's another model that he uses. And then he's a different one called Cat Boost. And then blending the models into like an ensemble model. And yeah, and also another important thing. So you can use this as a reference, or you could try to figure it out the day of. It's really not that hard to figure out, but basically to make your model output, um, or to get the CSV, you do your data frame to CSV, and then do the name of the CSV that you want and do index equals false. And we'll explain that more tomorrow too when we're helping people. But this is how to get your outputs into a CSV, and you're gonna have to like actually make your submission. Oh yeah, here's a good way, or he shows how to basically make your submission data frame. It's literally just the ID, which would be the index of the test set, and then your the thing that you're predicting. Um, but anyways, I just want to go through that notebook, really beautiful notebook, and something to strive for. This should give you like a really high level example of what you're trying to do. Um, Again, we don't expect you guys to be this meticulous about it, since we're on not a long time frame, but we do expect something. You shouldn't just have a notebook with no markdown or no visualizations. Um, and I see we got a question in the chat. Oh, could we get this link to the workflow as reference for tomorrow? Yeah, of course. I'm gonna just put it in the chat right now. Here you go. There you go. Okay. But yeah, definitely look at that as a reference. Again, I would if this is like more for like the supervised learning category, and that you guys don't know if this is we're even doing a regression problem for that yet. We could be doing a categorical, so it shouldn't be just like a one-to-one what do you call this reference, but it is an idea of how you want your thing to look. And also, I think on the PowerPoint that I said. To look at notebooks for the category that you're specifically into. So if there's going to be a lot of competitions out there hosted by Kaggle, so just go in there, do what I did, just look at the code section, go to highest voted, and a lot of the highest voted ones are really, really well documented because that's why they're so high voted. I'm pretty sure this one is probably amazing. Like, look at this. Like, we don't expect you guys to be doing this. Oh, this is basically like a little tutorial though. But like, anyways. Wanted to show you guys that for reference, and then I have like a really, really, really short presentation to do for you guys because I didn't want to give you guys like a whole template. Um, but like say for when you're submitting or like for your presentation, make a present or like for sorry, getting my words mixed up here. For your presentation, make a PowerPoint at the very least. If you can do more, but I would say PowerPoint is all you need and all we don't expect. I mean like. There's some people who might not make a PowerPoint, especially for people who aren't here right now and are going into it blind. They might not know. But anyways, um, I would say this is like an example of what we kind of expect a presentation to look like. So I'm going to try my best. Again, I'm using the data from the notebook I was just looking at. So I have no idea what that guy did. Um, so I don't really. This is going to be a bad presentation because I can't really make connections there. But I'll give you guys a little example of like what the start of it should look like. I'm not going to go through the whole thing either because I don't want you guys to just copy me. But anyways. So, hello everybody. My name's Sean, and I'm here with my other group members, member two, member three, member four, and so this is going to be our presentation. Um, so our approach is, or this is our approach. So we looked at the problem, and the problem that we were dealing with today was predicting the sales prices of houses. So the first thing that we did was we tried to understand the data, and we did this by plotting all of the features separately, doing a univariate analysis. And then there's some special things that kind of stuck out to us here. For example, we saw that lot frontage and lot area were two separate, and we thought maybe we should add those together. And then year built, a lot of the stuff on the data set was closer to this year, which was pretty surprising to us. And we thought we should take that into considerations because older years are probably going to be cheaper. Um, and there's some other stuff that we have labeled here. And actually, what primarily stuck out to us when we were doing our data pre-processing was the highly correlated variables here. As you can see, not a lot of them are highly correlated except for these specific rows. So the garage year built and the year built were highly correlated. Makes sense because they're both the same probably build as the house. Or the same year built as the house. So the total rooms above ground and the ground living area were also really highly correlated. The first floor surface and the total basement surface or SF. I don't know what these categories are. This is Sean just talking right now. I don't know. I just took this from the notebook. But anyways, so yeah, we saw all these highly correlated values, and so we thought a really important thing we had to do was make sure to get these and get rid of these highly correlated values because they're kind of redundant and not needed in our data. And then yada 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 yada. Talk about how okay, and then we did this. Oh, we saw this. We noticed this. Um, And then we were like, okay, I think our data is good for models now. So our first thought was to use this model because as a good baseline. But then we had ideas of using these other models. And so we ended up using this and that because we know that this model is good with blank and blank, and this model is good with blank and blank. And then when we evaluated the models, we got like these scores, this mean absolute error for the first model, and this for the second and the third. And these basically give you an idea of how much up or down the sales price it predicted was versus the real one, and stuff like that. Okay, so just like I don't have like a full template here because I don't want to just like have you guys copy me, even though I know you guys would never. But anyways, um, that should give you an idea of what we expect the presentation to be like tomorrow. And then at the very end, actually, I didn't even say the most important part. And at the very end, okay, so we came out with the model with this accuracy. And so we're pretty happy with that, especially with the short time frame that we were given. But I think moving on in the future, some stuff that we would definitely want to improve on is getting more data cleaning going on. We only got rid of some variables, but actually, as we noticed we were going on, we noticed that some variables seem to be affecting the models a lot more than we wanted them to. So we'd probably standardize those ones more. And then we definitely tried more models. We've only tried like 3 models today, and so you know, yada yada yada. You guys get it. So that's what an example presentation should kind of look like, um, just so you guys aren't completely lost. And so yeah. Uh, Let me think. Is there anything else I wanted to say before we just open up to Q&A? I think I think that basically gives you guys a decent idea of what to expect for tomorrow. Um, I know I focus a lot on the presentation because that part's important, and I feel like that's going to be where most people are lost on what to do. Everything else, when it comes to doing your model, cleaning your data set, that's up to you guys. You guys are there to learn that stuff. And so I don't want to hold your hand too much through those. And also like our workshops this week, that's kind of what we were there to help you for. But we can only help you guys so much. But yeah, so now I think I'm gonna be opening stuff to Q&A. But if you guys aren't interested in the Q&A portion, you're free to leave now. I'm going to end the workshop here. Um, and thank you so much for showing up, and I can't wait to see everybody tomorrow. Um, but yeah, thank you guys, and you guys have a great rest of your days. Make sure to get good sleep and wake up early and set like 5 alarms. But yeah. Okay. So now I'm opening it up for Q&A. So if you have any questions, I would say put them in the chat or unmute your mic. Chat's probably a little bit better so I could go down the line. So yeah. Okay, so first question I see is for tomorrow, since it is a weekend, will we be able to park an employee? That I'm not sure, so I will not say anything because like I don't want you guys to get ticketed. I would say look into that. If you're allowed to park an employee for the weekends, do it. I don't know. Um, but I'm personally gonna be just parking the parking structure and then just walking. But like maybe you can. I don't know. I should probably look into that so we could. But I should say that right now that the Datathon isn't gonna like pay for like special parking. We didn't like get a special parking lot close to the USU, sadly. Um, you could use I think the closest one might be the one behind the College of Business, but I'm not too sure. Um, Also, I believe you can as long as you have a parking permit. Okay, cool. Would you highly recommend choosing a pillar first or looking at the data set first? That's a great question, actually. Um, I would say and this is all up to preference. On because like whatever data set you're doing or you're given, all of like the like all of the stuff you're doing is gonna be kind of the same if no matter the pillar. It'll just be like the data that you're working with. So I would say a pillar that you're most comfortable with, if you have experience in one. Well, actually, I don't want to say that, but I was gonna say if you have experience in one, go with that. But honestly, this is a time to start learning new pillars, pillars. So like I would say honestly, look at the data set and see which one interests you the most. I think we have some pretty interesting ones in there. Um, and so, like, definitely check that out. But I don't know, just come up to an agreement as a team. I would probably wait till the data set comes out though. And so yeah. Student permits are also valid in E-lots after 5:30 p.m. Monday through Friday and all day on weekends. Okay, all day on weekends. So that's amazing. Again, I didn't say that. That's off the record. I don't want to be the reason you guys get ticketed, just in case. But if that's the case, definitely that'll help a lot because you guys can park right in front of the USU, um, which is where this is all gonna happen, by the way. USU Ballroom, 251, or just it's just the ballroom. Um, but yeah, so any other questions? I'm gonna stick around here. I'll give you guys like until like 2:02 to try to answer or ask as many questions as possible because this is kind of like the last chance. You can also answer questions in the Discord, and obviously we try to answer those as fast as possible. But um, feel free to unmute your mic. Let me think. Is there anything I could just tell you guys as well? Or any tips? Oh, I see some more questions. Who are the type of people that will judge us? That is a good question, actually, because we haven't really announced it. Um, uh, so we're gonna have some professors judge you guys. If you guys love Dave Winter, and I know everybody does, the engineering 350 professor, the ethics professor, he will be there, and he's gonna be there at 6:30. He's actually coming a little bit earlier, even though judging starts at 8 to just hang out with everybody. So that's gonna be super cool. And then we also have some other professors, and we're gonna also have some officers, and we're also probably gonna have a couple volunteers, the more experienced ones. Um, but we're gonna have them judge you guys as well. And if we're desperate though, like if people aren't grouping up, we might have a every volunteer judge you guys. Um, but they're gonna be debriefed on what to expect and everything, so it's not gonna be like these people aren't gonna know what they're doing. They're gonna know what they're doing. So I just want to throw that out there first. But it's probably just gonna be some professors. I think the 456 professor, the current one, is gonna be there. Something Gascani, and then I think. Wajdi Agent. I don't know their names, but some professor can be there. But Dave, yes, Dave is gonna be there. That's gonna be super exciting. Um, and then all like officers mainly. Breakfast, lunch, and snacks will be provided, correct? It's actually not breakfast and lunch and snacks. It's lunch, snacks, and dinner. We couldn't really provide you guys with breakfast, but lunch is gonna be like around noon. So this is even more reason to wake up early. Try to eat before you get there. We don't want you guys starving. We're gonna have plenty of food, hopefully for lunch and dinner though. But yeah, try to eat before. We all we had in the budget this year was lunch and dinner though. It would have been nice to get you guys breakfast as well, but yeah. Any exclusive tips for Zoom goers only? Um for Zoom goers only or like people who's staying right now for Q&A specific only. I'm gonna say, well actually no, I'm gonna post this recording so everybody who watches this is gonna hear this. I would say I mean, I don't know. I try to d dump as much tips as I could on you guys already. I'm okay. I'm just gonna say that like a little sneak peek on the data sets for tomorrow, or I'm gonna say unsupervised is definitely gonna be the hardest one. Okay, so I'm gonna say part of it is a lot of it is actually because like there's no accuracy metric and it's all judging, but that data set is pretty thick. And so that's gonna be the hardest one. I'm gonna say probably the easiest one. It'll be supervised. Um, and this is all my opinion. Like, by the way, so like, I don't know if this like really means anything. All of them might be hard. All of them might be easy to you. I don't know. But personally, I think supervised is gonna be the easiest. Unsupervised is gonna be the hardest. And I think the data set for vision is gonna be the coolest, actually. That's the one I like the most. But yeah. Anyways. Um. And yeah, I wonder if he's bringing Sadie. Oh my God, if Dave brung Sadie, that'd actually be so goated. I doubt it though. He's actually such a goat because we reached out to him like a little bit ahead of time, but we got the date wrong. We said it was gonna be on Friday, but it was a Saturday, and he had stuff going on Saturday, but he literally changed his plans around so he could be there. So yeah, that's gonna be exciting. Dave Glaze? No, for real. No, there's no such thing as Dave Glaze. That man's goated. But. Yeah. All right. Well, any other questions? I'm probably gonna wrap things up here in like a minute or two, if not. And again, feel free to ask questions all day in all day or night in the Discord, the Datathon Discord. But yeah. See you guys. Thank you, Shaun.com. Of course, of course. Yeah, see you guys all tomorrow. I can't wait. It'll be so exciting. I'm actually so excited. But yeah. So I think if that's it, I'll probably wrap things up now. So you guys have a great rest of your days. Sleep well tonight, wake up early, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.